Okay, so now it's time to get familiar with Ubuntu as an operating system. If you've never used it before, don't worry, it's fairly intuitive, but it is very command line based. So one of the key things that we'll be doing is SSHing into the machine. SSH stands for Secure Shell. Basically, it allows us to remote control from our computer here through to our node box. So SSH Satoshi, which is the username, at 192.168.55.30. Now, that will depend upon what IP you received from your router when you first installed Ubuntu. So just make sure that you've got that, and it will ask you, are you sure you want to continue connecting? And you'll say yes. And it'll ask you for your password, and you can put your password in. Okay, so this, I've split up my screen here for both. I'll do the same sort of SSH into there as well onto this terminal, just as a reference point. And this one will be a bigger, more enlarged version so that you can see what's going on. Now, for this particular build, you can see that I'm using the usage, or you can sort of see it up here. The usage is 0.7% of the 1 terabyte that I've got here. And you can also check that by typing in df space -h. And so you'll be able to see how much you've used. So I've used 6.7 gigabytes out of the possible 916 gigs, and how much I've got available as well. So that's one command that you should get familiar with. You should constantly keep an eye on that, just to make sure you're not going to breach those limits. Now, the next thing we should probably get into is the command itself, or what you're presented with. So we've got Satoshi, which is my username, at nodebox, and that is the computer name. And the tilde here means that I am in my home directory. So what that means is, in here is where I can do, as user Satoshi, I can start to create directories, I can do all sorts of things, create files, download into this home directory. So that is one thing that you, basically will need to keep an eye on, is where you are in the file system. Now, if you cd into the root directory, which is the top of the tree, you'll see that if you ls, that stands for list short. cd stands for change directory, and we've just now changed ourselves from the home directory, which is the tilde, to the now root directory, which is the slash. So when we call that out, you will see a bunch of folders. Now, this is what you would call a typical Linux file system. Now, to get back to that home directory, it is actually, we want to go into here. So if we cd home, and we list that out, you'll see a folder called Satoshi. And then when we cd into Satoshi, you will notice that we are going back into the tilde. So this is our home directory. The full home directory is called /home/Satoshi. So anything in here, you can start to make a directory, for example. So in here, if I list this out, there's nothing in here. So if I make a directory and call it my downloads directory, if I list now, then I will see the downloads folder, and I can cd into that. Another tip for you, you can do autocomplete. So for example, if I just type in DOW and then I hit the tab button, it auto-completes for me. So I can now go into there, and I'm now in home /downloads, right? So the full path of that is home Satoshi downloads, okay? Now, if you want to use a previous command, or go through the commands that you've used in the past, you can press the up button, or the arrow up, and that will go through all of the commands that you have already used. So this is handy if you need to ever go back and refer to other commands that you've previously used. So up and down arrows will get you there. Up, 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 down, 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 and back to nothing. So The next thing, if you want to remove that directory, so cd goes one directory back, so that now puts me back into the home directory. If you want to remove this, so say for example, I want to remove that whole folder, I can go rm-rf and then hit D, and because it's going to autofill, so you can just hit enter, and then now when you ls, you've got nothing left. But really, you do actually have something. LL is the command for list long. So let's take a look at this. Now, this here is showing me what's known as dot files. If you look at these dot files, we colloquially call them dot files, but they're hidden files. They are files here that they're actually important, and you shouldn't, randomly delete them because they are configuration files. So we colloquially call them dot files, and that's because they all start with a dot. So yeah, that's something that you will also see. So whilst ls will bring nothing, ll will bring you a full list of who has what ownership, and a little bit more detail around what each of these files are, as well as bring up all the hidden files as well. That'll be important when we install Bitcoin. The next thing that you might want to do in here is get familiar with is sudo apt update. Now, what this command will do, sudo represents super user do, and apt stands for the advanced packaging tool. And what we want it to do is update. So what that will do is it will go out to the Ubuntu servers, and it will call and ask them, hey, are there any updates that my system requires for any security patches or anything like that that the Ubuntu developers want me to upgrade to the latest version of a particular package. So if we type in sudo apt update and put in our password, because I'll explain a little bit more about sudo just in a minute, but we put in our password. This is now going out to the various repositories within Ubuntu and asking, hey, are there any updates? And it says here, all packages are up to date. Now, you want to probably do this maybe once a week or once a month or something like that, just so that you are continuously updating. But when you want to upgrade, you actually need to type in sudo apt upgrade. And that will then upgrade all of those packages that, if available, will upgrade. Okay. Now, throughout the series, one of an important skill is to edit text files. We can create text files and we can edit them. Basically, we're not doing any programming. Think of this like filling out a form, and you just need to be very precise with how you fill these forms out as you go on throughout the series. But what we will be using is a piece of software called Nano, which is already built into the Ubuntu system. It's called a text editor. So if we were to create a directory, so let's go mkdir, get back to our downloads, and then we'll change directory into that downloads folder, and you'll see that it's currently empty. Now, let's create a text file. So what we'll do is in Nano, we'll do a test file 123 and .txt. Okay, and here is where we can start writing things in our text file. Okay, and so if we wanted to save this, we can go Control X, and then it'll ask you, do you want to save? So you just press Y, and then you press Enter, and it will save it. So now you'll have, when you look into ls here, you'll see a test file 123.txt. Say, for example, you wanted to remove that. So if we wanted to delete that, it's just rm test file.txt, and it's gone. But you have to be in the downloads directory to remove that. Okay. So now we ls, and it's no longer there. Okay. We will be using Nano extensively, so I will get you familiar with that. You'll be basically opening up text files that are already existing and then editing them and saving them. That is the vast majority of the usage of Nano. Okay. Now, the next piece that I want to talk about is what sudo does. Right. So anything in your home directory and below, in your downloads, in this downloads directory, but basically anything in your home directory, you can just do the command like make dir downloads, right? It's already there, and you can remove that, and you can go like so, right? So you have an empty file system, and you've deleted it. Oh, the other thing that I want to make mention is that when you remove something, there's no trash. When you hit remove RM, that will actually delete everything. There's no trash in Ubuntu. It's gone. So yeah, just keep a note of that. Now, as I was saying regarding the file systems, right? So anything in your home directory, you can literally just type in RM. But if you wanted to do that in your in a directory other than your home directory, you're probably going to face permission errors, and that is because you need super user administrator privileges to be able to make those changes. So whenever you download and install an app by going sudo apt install, say whatever package you want, then it will you will need the sudo in front of it. Why? Because it needs to create files in areas that are not part of your home directory for that package to be installed onto your system. So that's why we use sudo, which means super user do, and you just type in your password. And yeah, you just want to be careful when you use sudo to make sure that you're not doing something untoward. So just be mindful of that. Another folder that we'll be getting getting familiar with is the etc folder. So we'll go cd/etc systemd system. Now this has a couple of files in here, and we'll be creating a few files that basically are scripts that allow us to start programs or start applications on the boot of our machine. So we use what's known as systemd, and we take what's known as a service file. And these service files, we will edit them and configure them such that when we start the computer up ourselves, like for the first time, it will also run Bitcoin on the boot of the machine. It will also run things like for the Fulcrum server. It will do a host of things that we will do, to make sure that these applications start on the boot of our machine. So this is a really important directory. Now, if I wanted to create something in here, so say for example, I wanted to do another text file. So have a look what happens if I just do nano something or something.service, right? See how it says directory is not writable? So when I type something in and I exit it and I ask, can you save it, and hit enter, it'll say error, writing something, permission denied. Why? Because I didn't put sudo in front of it. If I want to get out of the text editor, just go Control X, and no, I don't want to, so hit N, and it will get you out of the terminal. Oh, sorry, out of the nano and back into the terminal. So if, for example, if I wanted to do sudo nano something.service, you'll see that it is actually writable and you can make edits. So that's how you would do it. Now, if you wanted to edit, no, I don't want to save that. So if you wanted to edit an existing service file, so we'll just say, for example, I wanted to edit, say this one here, right? So I'd go sudo nano multi-path-tools.service. And now I'm able to edit this this file here, okay? And you can see what's in there. I'm just going to Control X out of that. So that pretty much sort of sums up what you need to know. Just make sure that you've got sort of sudo apt update and then sudo apt upgrade going every now and then. You probably want to improve. You probably want to install all the packages. We'll also be copying and pasting things from the internet or our browser and pumping them into here. To do that, it's literally just, so if say for example, I wanted to copy this, you go Control-Shift-V and that will paste that into the terminal. Or you can right click and hit paste and that will paste it in as well, okay? What other skills? I think that's about it when it comes to the node. If you want to go back to the home directory, or the operating system, sorry. If you want to go back to the home directory, you can go to here, so cd tilde, and you're now in the home directory. ls, there's nothing in there. Make dir downloads folder, so on, so forth. Okay, so we'll be doing all of this. I'll just remove it so we can start from scratch, and we'll progress on. I think that's pretty much it around your Ubuntu. Oh, the other thing is probably if you want to reboot, so sudo reboot, that'll kick you out of the terminal, and then your PC will restart as well. I think that's pretty much it when it comes to some basic commands of how things work. You can just sort of explore through. So if you go to the root directory, don't change anything, but you can start to see some of the files that are in here. So you might go USR, and then there's all sorts of directories in here, but don't do anything in them. You just need to leave them as is. Yeah, that's basically a rundown of Ubuntu. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to support the work that I'm doing, head on over to ministryofnodes.com and click on the support button. I accept Bitcoin, Lightning, PayPal, and credit card. If you want one-on-one consulting, head on over to the consulting page and book into my calendar widget. I can help you with holding your own keys, running your own node, and privacy best practices. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.